we're all kind of here, right? But the fact that we're all here and I can still learn something from you every time I talk to you, every time I talk to these guys over here, it's just amazing to get that education because I'm getting how many ever years of experience combined. And it's like just in simple conversation, just an explanation of why you do something, or I put this here because it made this easier. I use this tool because of this.
Hey there, welcome to Born to Tint with the Miller Brothers. I'm thrilled to be here with my brother and co-host, Josh.
Get ready for an engaging ride as we share trade secrets, business tips, and stories from the window tint world. Today, we've got some guests in town from Georgia. Why don't you introduce yourself, gentlemen?
I'm Kyle Fuller from Bon Air, Georgia. I own Tint Pro, and we do automotive window tinting, paint protection film, commercial and residential window film as well.
Hey, my name's Adam Fritz. I own Nothing But the Details, based out of Bon Air, Georgia. We specialize in protective film or protective coatings and also detailing as well.
All right, so we've known you guys for a while. You have two separate businesses, same building. How does that dynamic work and when did it start? How long has that been going for?
So we have a new building from when we actually started. It's been about 5 years, maybe going on 6. I was looking to get into that market at that time. I wanted to start adding ceramic coatings and details and things like that to the paint protection that I was doing, because it all kind of bundles together. I found out who was the best in my area and brought him in, tried to basically buy him out, see if I could get him to come work for me, and he said no. So instead of that happening, we decided to partner together under the same roof. We really didn't have many struggles in the beginning that a lot of people have. Our systems have changed. It was in the old building, it was my building, and he came aboard, and so basically I actually outfitted him with everything that he needed. So I said, hey, you're going to come work here. I'm going to give you my credit card. You go and buy every polisher, every pad, everything that we need to get this off the ground, and let's go. And we had a percentage deal worked out on each job. But as we grew, it got a little complicated trying to keep up with that. And we opened a new retail store, which we went from 904 square feet of working space to 5,000 square feet. And so we were actually in the same parking lot, but we just had our landlord actually just build us our own building. We took over 5,000 square foot, and we just ended up splitting the overhead, and he needed X amount of square feet. I needed a little bit more at that time. And so we just kind of split the overhead how we needed to.
We've been out to your place when you had that opening, the re-grand opening for the 5,000 square foot building. I do know you are now in the process of expanding again. That's what kind of sparked you wanting to come out. You wanted to see how we operated. And also how we used TINT WIZ itself to run our operation, because you heard us on Eric's podcast. With how we're networking together, like, what did you pull from coming out here from us? From like how our operation went, how I would say positives, critiques.
So the biggest thing that we learned, and coming out to see you guys, also coming out to see Sid and VJ, we stopped in Sacramento and then are here on the way back. Just wanted to make the best of our time, use as wisely as we could. Don't get much time off with the kids at home. So really seeing the expansion. So when I met you guys back in 2015, 16, wherever it was, everybody was a lot smaller, I guess you'd say, or just a lot different in organization, just leadership, just nothing negative, just things change, things evolve. You start to get better systems and stuff like that. And now 3 years later from when you guys were out in our shop, we're basically doubling again. We're going to be right under 10,000 square foot, which it's a great thing because we've already run out of our space in our shop. We thought that we were going to go into the space. I'm never going to have to build again. Like, we've made it. And then in the detail department, they had to build an awning outside because we ran out of space inside. With paint protection, cars tend to stay overnight, things like that, take up space for longer durations of time than window tint. And so we noticed that our paint protection department was eating up space for the window tint department. So it's like we're making money on one end, but losing it on the other. And the growth that we're about to take on is something that's extremely needed. And it's kind of an odd thing because we were like, oh man, we're doubling, but already going into that space, we knew we were going into it for a couple months. Just putting cars in there, we're already like, all right, we're using all the space. Like, we might have like 1 or 2 spaces left, and that doesn't leave that much more room for growth.
But we're also seeing it on the scheduling side because we already have access to that spot. It's kind of given us a little bit more of an idea of, well, we can take on a little bit more work now that we have the space. Before we were limited to how much space we had. And so now that we have it, we utilize it. Our scheduling reflects that. So we're able to take on more work. And so it's kind of made it a little bit easier because, you know, everybody looks at the numbers, you know, the overhead and stuff like that. But once you see you're adding more to the schedule, you're good. It makes that growth a little bit easier.
With him saying that, I'm going to add on to it because going back to the actual question, coming out here, you guys are scaled bigger than we are, right? Like, so in my tent company, we have 6 employees. We're growing slightly right now. We have a few we're adding on as soon as we get back. He's got 6 employees. And so, you know, there's 12 of us under the roof, but I have to look at it from my personal growth, and he does as well. But you guys are already there. I think we said 17 employees total, you know, so the biggest thing that we're going to grow into, or that we see the ability to grow into, is you guys, and just talking to you in conversation. You know, we talk to each other every few months, you know, just whenever we can. But the systems that you have in place for departments, flat glass is its own section, automotive is its own section, paint protection is its own section, vinyl for you guys is its own section. And the software is going to give us the ability to keep up with all those departments and help make sure that people stay on task with what they need to do, really make them accountable for what they need to do. And that was really what we were needing, because like right now there's multiple people in multiple places, and right now we're growing to where we have the ability to put them in all their individual spots and then have people come in underneath them. But I wanted to put the systems in place first. I didn't want to just get everybody and then just try to figure it out.
Kind of where we find ourselves a little bit in the fact of like we've grown into the point of now we have a kind of our separate divisions, and now bringing all the guys that we're bringing in to train, now it's at a point now where we have to truly dedicate departments. And like you said, your paint protection department right now, well, so that's the one thing we kind of went heavily after. Yeah, same thing. And we went heavy with that. And now that we have as many people we finally feel like we're kind of utilizing the TINT WIZ just in the communication aspect. Like that was the one thing that you noticed when we were on with Eric, is the one thing I brought up was like, for me, unless is tasked in the program to me, and like we have that system set up, it's a ever-changing thing too. Because I mean, the one thing that we were very guilty of, I try to perfect things too much before implementing, just thinking like tweak this, and then I've come to the realization that we just need to implement and then adapt. And that's the best way to go after something. That's the best way to actually try to get that growth. Just at least get the ball rolling, just slowly start pushing it down and let it get going. And then from there, when you see a problem, try to adjust, fix, and move forward. It's one of those things where I definitely don't think we have anything perfected at all when it comes to it. I think we're getting a little bit better and better every day. That's at least what I strive for.
Yeah, but like honestly, like I feel your hesitation on like separating stuff, because we were the same way. Like I would have in the past, I'd have a day or two flat glass and then a day or two auto, and we've been separated for a little while now. But even for us implementing Tint WIZ into our operation, we were even super hesitant with it. But you just kind of have to take the leap and start using it, because we still to this day, we've been using it for 3 years now. We're constantly finding new ways to use it. And luckily he, like the tasking thing, I think it was even a suggestion from Eric, like that's how it's meant to be used. But he's so strict with that. Like if this is going to be the system, that's what we're going to do. I'll tell him something and he'll be like, did you task me in it? Like, I'm telling you right now, I don't care. Task it. I don't have the ability to remember that right now, and I don't want to forget it. So task me and it will not be forgotten.
And with that, like, you know, being in the position that we all are in our companies, everyone's looking for you or looking to you for a solution. And you'll feel like you get 3 to 5 minutes of peace and quiet here and there, and you don't realize it, but those 3 to 5 minutes, somebody's trying to find you. Somebody's looking for you. They just haven't got to you yet to ask you a question. That's not a negative thing. You stay that constantly busy. And so I'm actually really excited. Like we keep saying, tasking is probably the thing I'm the most excited about, because for example, when the front of my house leaves to go home after work and I'm sitting there at 5 o'clock trying to figure out what I have to do, it feels so bad all the time, because I'm like, all right, she's already left work. I have to call her. Has she picked up her son yet? Is she picking up her son? It's like, do I wait 10 minutes to call because I kind of know where she's at in the process? But I'm like, hey, what did you tell me when you left? Because I had like 5 things going, like we're trying to close up, and nobody did anything wrong, but I just couldn't comprehend doing all 5 of those things at that one time. So I'm like, all right, just give me the list. What are my tasks? All right, check, 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 check. I don't have to bother nobody, and it simplifies my job.
I learned this from him using it not that long ago. If I've got something I need to follow up on a project with a customer, that I'm the one that needs to do it, rather than just trying to remember it and then it slips out my mind when I go home and got to deal with my kids. I task myself. And now in my alerts for my task, I've got tasks from myself of stuff I need to follow up on.
The worst thing that I do, I think it's the most helpful thing that I do, but I text the shop phone throughout the whole entire evening. I'll be sitting there with my kids and I'm just like, I forgot to do this. Can we check on this tomorrow? And then within like 15 minutes of being at work, it's like an itemized thing of like the questions that I asked. And it's like, yes, you haven't done it yet, do it. Yeah, and it's one of those things, but I think it's going to be extremely helpful because I'm being told what to do, and I think it's just going to help me follow through that much more on my end because we're still all in the labor side, right? So not only are we running a business, controlling what 6 people are doing, 17 people are doing, we're also doing it ourselves. And so you get lost in that sometimes because you're getting pulled away from the management side and doing the job.
How I run my life when it comes to as soon as when I get to the shop and clocked myself in, like all right, work day starting. The first thing I do is I sit down, I open up Tint WIZ, I go through it, run through my emails real quick, run through my notifications of pretty much anything that's been either approved, leads coming in or whatever. I look through my notifications, say, all right, what jobs have been approved? I click on them, see what the job is, if it needs to be scheduled, because I do majority of the schedule when it comes to flat glass. But my sales rep, when she doesn't have anything, when she's ran through her list, I've done all of her leads and sales and stuff like that, she'll do scheduling too. And if she's got a question, she'll task me over a question, but I'll go through all those jobs, and in those jobs, I'll say, okay, this just got approved, scroll down, type in their schedule, task it to myself. And then from there, I hop into my tasks, and then I start rolling through my tasks. All right, who sent me what? What did I send myself? What customers are you going to call? What day when did it get approved? Like for me, like if the job approves my goal is I would love to do it within like 5 minutes, call, reach out right then. But I got a 24-hour clock. All right, when did this person approve? All right, I got 24 hours to reach out to this person, or I need to delegate and send it off. Like I'll send it over to my salesperson. I'm like, do you have time to book this person real quick? Yep. And then all of a sudden, if she is able to get to it before I do, she'll just task me back scheduled. So then, like is when I see something like that coming through schedule, because then I get to open up my task list and I get to close out 2 tasks. The one I put for myself for schedule and the one that she put that's schedule. I'm like, okay, that job's taken care of. Don't got to worry about it now. And I move on to my next task.
And it gives you a clear mind. You're not sitting there constantly. We've all done it. You get all wound down at the end of the day. You get the kids in the bed. You get everything taken care of, and you lay down in the bed and you're like, oh no, did I schedule that job? Did I follow up with that customer?
It's almost like if the TV isn't on or something and it goes silent, everything, you can just hear all those things that you need to do. You're like,
but you can pull up your phone and check Tint WIZ, make sure everything's checked off.
And that's where like when we've gotten to the point with how many people we have. And that's like, this is one thing where I finally got to that point, which I think you were the one who recommended this to begin with when we first got Tint WIZ, was just pointing out those key features. And like, yeah, then we found a kind of way to start implementing it. And that's when it came down to, I just told all the people, like every person that works for us, like if it doesn't roll through the program, if I don't have a timestamp it being done, and I'm as guilty as anyone else is, there's things like, I think we had a job today where why isn't this done? And like I instantly, like in my mind, I'm like,
but it was possible attachments. I think, so it was a security film window that customer provided measurements. I know exactly what it was. And they provided the measurements, and it didn't say anything about attachments in the notes, which if there's anything special, like there needs to be, if it's a tempered window and we're doing Dow attachments on it, it needs to be in the notes where it's scheduled. And I saw that lower in the project, attachments were included. And I was like, so isn't there attachments on this job? And he's like, oh man, I forgot to do that. Turns out there wasn't, because it was customer provided measurements. He put it in there just in case. So the lady knew the possibility that might be a charge also. So I actually got on site, got to look at the window. This doesn't need attachments. Cool, we're good.
I want to ask y'all a question real quick, just because it's sitting in my brain right now. And if I don't ask it, I'm going to forget it. But being that we are 2 different companies under the same roof, there's that secondary location thing that y'all were talking about earlier. I wonder if, because we schedule, right? So I'm going to schedule my window tint, I'm going to schedule my paint protection, and he's going to get the ceramic coating and correction, right? And so that we can kind of link our schedules, because the way it works under our roof, you know, when a customer does that, they get a discount from both sides just to make it have more value to the customer, right? But we could have you in the schedule too as a secondary location. That way we can talk to you inside the app.
I believe that's possible. We haven't gotten to the point of running a second location, but from when I was talking to Sid, because they have 2 locations and we even message support, it sounds like it's a feature that you could definitely utilize for that. So it would keep all your numbers separate too. All the sales for one side would be separate from the other. So
I like that. Because we could make sure that we organize that schedule.
And then you guys both be able to see each other's schedule.
It's pretty cool because it's kind of unique to our situation too. So
it would just empower stronger communication when it comes down to it. And that's usually the problem with almost most problems always come from communication. And then that's why I streamline hard of like, if it's not put through the app, it doesn't exist to me. Like, can't remember that many things. I just can't. I try. I'm usually pretty good at it. But when it comes down to it, like, I need it in writing. So where it says like, nope, you sent it to me. I messed up. I'm sorry. Let me get this taken care of for you.
And we've had Tint Wiz for a little while. It's been a little bit of a learning curve, and we didn't utilize it, right? You know, we had some software that was buildable from the backside, and for the past 6 years, we built it, and we made it exactly how we wanted. In my opinion, at the point it is right now, it's a little bit more user-friendly. But all the extra features that Tint Wiz does have that are just strictly related to making everybody responsible for what they need to do. I was walking through your shop earlier right before we were about to leave, and I see a guy. He's got his phone out. He's taking a picture of, like, he looked kind of goofy from the angle I'm walking up. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, there's a scratch in the glass right here. So he's taking a picture of the scratch in the glass, and he's uploading it to that appointment. That way it's just documented, time-stamped. And then because he's doing it from his phone, we know what employee did it. And I was sitting there, I was like, oh my God. Like, just that simple feature right there is so important, because my guys call me, and it's not a negative, but I want to see it normally. And they call me over and they're like, hey, look at this. And then I'm like, well, write it in the book. And they're like, how do you want me to write it? And I'm like, just doesn't matter. Just put it in there somehow, you know? So, but taking the software basically is going to delegate all the little things that are pulling me away for 2 minutes here, 5 minutes here. I think it's probably going to give me a good minimum hour back of my life a day.
That was as we've figured out how to use the software within our company, that was the things, like, we've had things where, you know, something got noticed by an employee, and then technically nothing was done about it. And then it was like, oh, it's an older vehicle. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you notice, and you're like, whatever. And then all of a sudden it's the first thing the customer sees. And it's like, okay, what are we doing we need to do something to mitigate this. I need something to where it's like, I know, because we hold all of our employees very accountable to where if you damage something, you're not going to, like, hey, things happen about it, but yeah. It's more likely, like, because I have every person that's kind of questioned if I have a customer, it's like I call and tell them, like, hey, this is what I just saw this, I'm letting you know. And they're like, oh yeah, no. And it's like, okay, well, I have before pictures, because that's something we've implemented now. We take 8 different pictures on the intake of any vehicle. And now when it really comes down to, because we already had an incident this past week where it's like anything that steps foot in our shop, I need before photos. So if something is if I'm calling a customer before I get my hands on it, before installing on it, I notice something, I need to be able to call them and tell them, hey, I'm just now getting to the install, I'm noticing this. And they were like, well, no, I dropped it off, it was fine. It's like, well, actually the intake picture, it was taken at this time when you got here, and actually I can zoom in and the damage is right there. We had a hood where I opened up a brand new box of a hood. We're going to put some clear bra on it, and like first thing you noticed as opening is like, dude, there's a fat dent right there. And it's like, I called the customer, he's like, nope, that hood was perfect. Thankfully we have cameras in our shop, because that was one thing I didn't get a picture taken of it. It's the first thing I look for. Of course the picture's not in there. When you need it, it's never there. It's been just sitting in my shop. Thankfully, I call the customer instantly, which rightfully so. It's like, I just dropped off a brand new hood in a box. Oh, he did open it up, and he's like, dude, it was fine. I checked over with your guy, it was fine. Went back to our camera footage, and thankfully in the camera footage, as soon as the guy opened it, it was just in a spot where he was standing, the light wasn't hitting it right. He didn't see it. Then I showed it to him, he's like, oh, dude, I'm sorry. Like, and it was just like, those little things can be avoided so easily just by implementing those standard operation of when it comes down to it. Like, it's just like, I gotta tell my people, like, just let you know, like, we all know the pictures got to be there. If the pictures aren't there, I'm going to hold you accountable for that, for skipping that step. So when it comes down to it, I need something to go at, not say go at a customer, but just like, if we've ever broken anything in our shop or damaged anything, we go out of our way to make sure we get it taken care of. You just entrusted us to work on your vehicle, work on your house, whatever it need be. If anything gets broken, we've always replaced it. And no one wants to be sat there and told like, oh no, dude, it was like that. And they can feel like we're trying to get out of it. I mean, we had an incident in a house where customer Josh went on it. I have zero reason to ever question if my brother's damaged anything. Because if he ever has, just like me, because we're owners of the company, hey, my bad. I'm going to get this taken care of. I'm going to get a handyman. He had accused us of damaging his paint behind his curtains. When I called Josh, like he sent me a text of the guy sending it, like sent the text to him of a picture too. And he's like, dude, I saw it. And I was like, was it in Tint Wiz? Did you take a picture?
We weren't doing what the shop was doing at that time. And now we are on Flat Glass. We're doing the same thing. Pictures of everything.
I love how it's in the cloud too. So it's not taking up anybody's individual spaces. Like you don't have to take that work even home with you.
No. And it's like, when it came down to it, I called the customer and just told him, hey, like reading through the text messages, I'm not trying to get an argument with the guy. There's nothing there for me to say, sir, there's a photo taken at this time when he got to your house at this time, before the window was even touched. Here's the picture of it. So it's just instantly, I contacted my handyman. He's gonna be contacting you. He's gonna come out and get it taken care of. And we just took care of it. And you know, and that unfortunately spiraled into a review that I knew was coming. And then instantly it's like, well, they were trying to skate out of I think it's like, first off, dude, I didn't want to get in an argument with you because there's nothing to really argue about. We don't have anything to prove that it wasn't us when it comes down to it. And you're talking about one of the owners of the company. Like, what do we gain by trying to hide damaging your wall? Nothing. I called you and just took care of it because that's what needed to be done. And it is what it is, you know, it kind of is what it is. But it was one of those, got to make sure that picture's in Tint Wiz. If anything is damaged, you ever walk up to something and notify the customer.
He wasn't there when we did it. It was behind a curtain. I pull it back. It's like obvious, so obvious. And it's like maybe somebody else bumped into the wall while the curtain was there and he didn't even know about it, whatever it was. But it's like, yeah, should have taken a picture. I should have went and got the customer and showed him.
We've had some great customers.
No, it's one of those things though, like on the other end of that too, like you said, there's customers that no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to make them happy.
Had a gentleman that came in for a ceramic coating and he had already brought a car before, so he is already a returning customer. Came in, we did detail on the car, prepped it, polished it, coated it. He came to pick it up. He was happy. Everything looked great. We would do a full walk around the car, make sure customers are satisfied. Customer takes his keys, goes home. About an hour after the appointment, or after the job was completed, we got a call. You scratched my wheels. I said, well, there's absolutely no way that could happen. You just prep them, do a quick little polish on them, coat them, go out the door. We didn't use any sharp objects or anything like that. And so I went back and reviewed my cameras. I had a clear conscience about it. The customer decided to bring it by and let's take a look at it. Obviously wasn't happy. He had some few choice words, obviously, just different type of person. So he came by and the scratches were on the barrels of the wheel behind the spokes, by the calipers and the rotors and stuff. And they were not going straight, they were going this way. And they were near some wheel weights. And so we asked the customer, we said, was it possible that maybe tire shop took a flathead screwdriver like they normally do to pop off those old wheel weights? And he says, well, about 3 weeks ago I got new tires, but I assure you it was not like that. You did it. But we went the extra mile. We had the wheels refinished. We got them recoated. We sent the customer on his way. To me, I have a clear conscience. You can try and tell somebody some things, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. You learn from it, you put those standard operating procedures into place, and you move forward.
What feedback do you have on us for coming and seeing our operation?
For us doing experiences like this in our industry, there's not much further education, right? Like the further education is what you can learn from the guy that's above you in your own shop, or maybe a seminar that you might go to at a manufacturer conference or international conference, or what have you. The biggest thing that I learned from my peers is we are all like-minded. We all want the same drive, but everybody just does it so differently. I spent some time out in Sacramento at Sid's shop. Love the environment, love the charisma. I learned so much. It's literally walking by someone that's doing something differently every day, and it's just like, what is that? I'm over here, I get my camera out, I start video recording, and at this time, we've all, like, they know I'm there. It's not like awkward or anything, but it's like picking up a tip or trick that's going to help me make money and help me better my shop that I can take home with me has extreme value, right? When I come to your guys' shop and I see how you're using the software, how you're just the cleanliness, the way your shop presents, it's as I grow what I strive for it to be, right? And I think that I do very well at what I do at my scale, and just, we're all kind of here, right? But the fact that we're all here and I can still learn something from you every time I talk to you, every time I talk to these guys over here, it's just amazing to get that education, because I'm getting how many ever years of experience combined, and it's like just in simple conversation, just an explanation of why you do something, or I put this here because it made this easier. I use this tool because of this, or this solution because of this. I heated up this water for why, and if I can save any amount of time and profit any more and just have great conversation and make great friends, it's awesome. So I think that definitely more people should do what we're doing. Find their own peer groups. Always strive to find people that, you guys give me compliments all the time. You're like, I don't know why you feel the value to come here. And I feel like that mutual thing, we all see each other at our best and we all just want to do our best all the time. And I think it just shows in everything that we do.
Fortunately, we're going to wrap this up a little quicker than we wanted intended to, but we're definitely going to want to do this again, sit down again. I want to thank you for technically starting this group. You and Sid were the original ones that kind of started this networking, had that article written about you guys, about like, you know, doing that project together. In fact, like a guy from Georgia and a guy from Sacramento coming together to work together in the industry, setting an example, and then bringing us meeting you in the Panorama meetings, and then you randomly showing up at our shop like, hey, what's up? And like it just coming in. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. That is this. So it's I want to thank you for bringing us into this group. The value we get from it is I can't put a price on it. Like when I see you calling me, I know it's either say, hey, what's up, or it's you want to run something by me. It's the same thing. It's like if I have something I got a question, I know I can hit you up. I can hit Sid up.
It's become kind of a pretty big group, and I know that there's a lot of people in our group that don't even talk directly. But like it's like, you know, I'll say someone's name, and you're like, I need to get with him. You know, but we're all so busy that it's just like, you know, sometimes it's either I'll run that question by him just to get it a little bit faster, or you know, just save an X amount of conversation. But it's like the peer group has grown so large, and I do love it. Like everybody does give me crap too. That was my first time ever coming to Vegas, and they're like, you went to work?
So are you both coming to SEMA?
I'll be at SEMA.
Okay. Well, we got to get together when you come out.
Yes, definitely.
You're going to be at the Tin Off, though.
I'm going to be at the Tin Off, but SEMA's during a trade show.
So maybe we'll do a remote, get some more talking with just you at the Tin Off, and when you come into SEMA, we can do some more.
I think, yeah, that would be good because, you know, y'all are so heavily focused in the film industry, and it would be really cool to see how the film industry and the protective coating industry mesh really well. So let's pick that up, and I think it would be really good.
I appreciate you guys.
Definitely. No, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Born to Tint. Remember, our community thrives in your involvement, so please hit that subscribe button below.
Keep tinting and keep dreaming big. Catch you on the next episode of Born to Tint with the Miller Brothers.